How are we doing, guys? Happy Thursday. Chuck and Nick here. We got pretty big PGA day. I think we were talking about that's why all the NBA contests were so small today on DraftKings anyway. And on top of that, it sounds like FanDuel cut off the last two games. So, we'll try and dive into that a little bit. But Nick, how we doing today?
Yeah, man, I was saying before, I was thinking I was going to play more DK tonight. But yeah, I don't know if I even want to deal with Dallas, so I might just play more on FanDuel. It's never fun when the two sites kind of play different slates. I mean, two games, one being where we're getting most of the value on DK, so it's definitely kind of important that we kind of delineate between the two sites tonight. But otherwise, I mean, there's some good spots here, some games that should be competitive, a lot of injury news kind of across the slate, but we have most of it already.
Yeah, the big spot tonight is Dallas because Luka Doncic left the game early last time and he's out
Kill
tonight.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny. We were talking about last time, like Luca was finally showing up for high ownership. Like this is not a bad night to just
Hmm.
hope that other people go off, and then turns out he had a terrible game, and other people
Jokic
did go
did too,
off.
though. Yeah, well, that
Yeah,
was the issue.
yeah.
I got to some Joker as a pivot, and he
hmm
had a floor game too, so it was.
It was a tough night, and then yesterday, yesterday was a fun slate, right? Chalk failed twice in a row. So 2 days ago, Amon Thompson failed. We'll talk about Amon Thompson today. Yesterday it was what Fontecchio failed, and so we've had two 50% owned guys fail in a row. Who will it be today? I think it's Tim Hardaway, but
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that hurt. Fontecchio, I had a lot of last night. Did pretty well to get onto a lot of Cade Cunningham, but that was a weird one too. We got Scottie Pippen starting last minute, so
yeah.
pivoted onto some of him, which was okay. But yeah, I mean, these are the dog days for a lot of these teams. Gonna hear some names that we've never heard before these next few weeks for sure.
And it's tough right now because if you look at like the winning lineups, I think last night was different and 2 nights ago because of Josh Hart, but like or 3 nights ago because of Josh Hart. But 2 nights ago, the winning lineup, the lowest owned player was Jamal Murray at 15%, and everyone else was above 20%. And this is in the 100,000 entry, $4, 100K to
That's
first,
insane.
and he solo won. And so it just goes to show like the chalk, like we got to play a lot of chalk right now, and the chalk is just going to be strong. Late season NBA, we're getting to that time, so just keep that in mind. And today's a perfect example because we have some. I was thinking it was a good slate until I got to Dallas, and I was like, this is just dumb because what do we do with Tim Hardaway? I mean, he's not on FanDuel, so if you're playing on FanDuel, you don't have to worry about it. But for DraftKings, 4K projected for 41% ownership, like that actually seems kind of low for being 4K. But he has not been playing minutes lately, so what are we doing with him?
Yeah, man, it's tricky. So Exum's really popular as well. I mean, he's probably safe. Like, we're gonna see a lot of these secondary guys for Dallas draw ownership here. I mean, I don't know. I thought the issue with Hardaway was that he was on the floor with one of Kyrie or Luca more than he had been in years past, and that's kind of why he's been bad. But even when he's taking shots, I mean, they haven't really been going in. So it's not the type of play you can feel great about. I mean, we can kind of liken him to like a Grady Dick, who was very popular yesterday, kind of boomer bust. Who was it? Dean Wade a week or so ago. Like, these guys are getting increased opportunities, but they're still very much scoring dependent. I kind of put Tim Hardaway in that category. On paper, he's going to look good, but if his shots aren't falling, he is the type of chalk that you could probably get away from and benefit from that. But such a wide range of outcomes for these shooters. And we've seen it with Grady, like great games, poor games with Dean Wade, and this is that exact type of play. Dylan Brooks, another one, not always as aggressive on offense as some of these other guys we're listing, but the opportunities are there, the minutes are there, the usage on paper is there when we're looking at data. It's just still a wide range of outcomes because even though they're getting increased opportunities, they're not necessarily great NBA players, which makes it tough to play these guys as chalk sometimes.
Yeah, and we have a few options tonight. I mean, so Kyrie at the top. I'll get to Kyrie in a minute. Kyrie's kind of weird for me because of Ramadan and with him fasting. So
Mm.
data can't account for that. So I don't know what to do with that there. But yeah, you mentioned Dante Exum, Josh Green. Like Josh Green's ownership is the one that stands out to me at 12%. I think I'm going to be over on Josh Green. I'm playing Exum. I mean, I saw something about he might have started last game, but he should start tonight. And then, I mean, are you doing anything with PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford?
I think PJ Washington's actually like my favorite play after Kyrie here. I mean,
Nice.
we saw with Charlotte, he's super offensive. I mean, super active on offense. When he's going to get extra usage, he's a guy that takes a lot of shots. He's going to crash the rim as well. So I don't know. I mean, he does a lot, and he's probably a little bit too cheap for the increased usage and the likely upside we're going to see with him here. I mean, the guys he's on the floor with that aren't named Kyrie, guys like Derek Jones, Josh Green, they don't demand a lot of usage. Even Exum or THJ, I mean, yeah, they can shoot. Yeah, they'll have the ball in their hands, but I'm not too worried about that cutting into Washington's usage here. So I think he's going to benefit more than maybe the field's accounting for. He's still way too cheap on DK, where Dallas is actually a team we're considering. So probably my favorite here at the respective ownerships is PJ. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned Exum. The starting lineup is going to matter here. THJ is not going to start. They always bring him off the bench, but maybe it's Derek Jones, maybe it's Exum. I think Josh Green starts either way, so I'm with you in that he's probably the safer piece of value. Um, but yeah, don't be surprised if they go Exum over Derek Jones. I think whichever of those two starts is probably better. But Exum's going to be way more popular regardless. So it is kind of interesting. If Derek Jones were to start at low ownership, I do think that's probably a smart pivot to make, at least in some of your lineups for tournaments.
I like it. And we have some other spots on the slate today. Uh, Other injury news. Giannis is probable. Kawhi is questionable. He left the game with back spasms last time. Seems a little bit dramatic. And so, I don't know, to just not to leave the arena in the middle of a game. You don't see that often. So I
That's
wonder
weird.
how questionable he actually is today. I think we just got news that Jalen Brown will play. Yeah, Jalen Brown is in. James Harden questionable. Anthony Simon's questionable. Kobe White is out. That's
That's a
another
big one.
big spot for Chicago. And Jeremy Grant is out. Malik Beasley questionable. Rashawn Holmes out. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the Bulls a little bit because I think Kobe White being out is pretty significant. Alex Caruso went off yesterday.
Yep.
He's pulling modest ownership at 5,500, but the other player I'm really interested in here is Io DeSunmu. What do you think?
I mean, both those guys and DeRozan and Vooch, I think all four of them look exceptional here. I mean, Craig's cheap enough that you could consider him as a tournament pivot off of some of that Dallas chalk if you're playing on DK. But honestly, I'm comfortable getting three of these four into my lineup, that being Sumu,
Hmm.
DeRozan, Caruso, and Vooch. And obviously, it's not the best matchup here against the Clippers, but the Bulls are at home and the spread's pretty tight. It's a limited slate in that even on DK, where you have the two 10 o'clock games, it's only 6 games. So I don't mind going to maybe not the most appealing game environment, knowing we're getting that extra usage for all these starters here. So I'm with you. I love the AO play. I'll definitely have to keep an eye on ownership, but I would not argue with anyone playing Caruso
Hmm.
or DeRozan or even Vooch, who we always talk about, is good in certain matchups, not in others. I mean, Zubac is a big center, but he's really not a good defender at all. So this is actually a spot I think Vucevic could do fairly well in as well. Probably under-owned on DK, where he's only 9%. FanDuel, one of the more popular centers, but I think he should be. But really, really do like the Bulls here, especially on FanDuel, where we don't have all that Dallas value. This is definitely going to be a key part to tonight's slate.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that reflected in the ownership. Like all the FanDuel ownerships are going to be higher than DraftKings today, just because there's less games. Like it's just a product of the
Mhm.
slate. But it does look like Chicago is the spot that a lot of players on FanDuel are going to. I mean, 5 players pulling 30% ownership. Torrey Craig, the highest owned, seems
Yeah,
insane, but he is cheap. So
definitely.
uh, let's see. Jose Morales, you have your lineup set up except point guard, last position Lillard, Maxi, Van Vliet, or Kyrie. Well, I hate
Kyrie.
to just pick for you. Yeah, it's for me. It's going to be Kyrie or Van Vliet. I think those are the top two options. The model
Yeah.
is definitely going to have. Yeah, Kyrie's going to be number one on the model no matter what. So
And I will touch on the Ramadan thing. As a Nets fan, I did see Kyrie Ramadan games at times, and it's funny. I mean, he had good games, he had bad games. I don't think it's something we need to necessarily account for. Like
okay,
he's had huge games during Ramadan, and he's had bad games during Ramadan. Like same as Kyrie the rest of the season. So I don't know. There was like this Ramadan Kyrie meme for a while. Like he had some huge games during it a couple seasons ago. But again, it's still just a wide range of outcomes. I don't think there's any sort of like I don't know, boost or the opposite in either direction, really, for him. You'll see him eating a banana on the bench as soon as the sun sets.
I was going to say just in case anyone's not aware, I believe practices Ramadan, so he can't eat between sun up and sundown, and
Mhm.
so sunset in Oklahoma City today is at 7:37 p.m. This game starts at 7. I don't know if the time it showed me was my local time or Oklahoma City local time, but either way, he should be able to eat a banana after the first quarter, so
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah,
big
and
deal.
like I said, he had huge games on the East Coast during Ramadan for the Nets at times, so he's good here. I mean, the one thing I guess you do worry about is that it's not a great matchup in terms of defense, and if they do decide to totally key in on Kyrie, then maybe they can kind of slow him down. That just makes me like PJ Washington even more. But on paper, he's the best guard play on the slate. It's tough to get away from him with Luka out.
Yeah, I mean, he's the third best overall play after Giannis and
Yeah.
SGA, and so at his price, it's just he just stands out too much. 50% ownership is crazy though, and so I don't think we necessarily have to fade him. Just mix in some other guys. I mean, from the top of point guards, SGA, Devin Booker, Dame, and I love Fred VanVleet tonight, Maxey, Brunson, Harden. What do you think about these guys? And anyone else stand out?
Yeah, Van Fleet stands out. I mean, all of Houston stands out. Obviously, no Sangoon, and they're just getting a great matchup here against the Wizards. Washington, definitely a spot we like to target for opposing teams. All these guys are going to see increased usage here with Sangoon still out. Smith probably starts at center. But yeah, I mean, Green, Van Fleet in that backcourt. And then Eamon Thompson, who burnt everyone. You could go back there and kind of hope he has a better game. Certainly capable of it. But yeah, wide range of outcomes for him. The safe play there does seem to be Van Fleet.
So with Amon Thompson, I mean, 49% ownership. He burned everyone last time. It was absurd. Uh,
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't know what his minutes prediction was last time. I wish I could remember, but we haven't predicted for 27 minutes at 5,200. Like, he's a good fantasy producer, and this is probably the best possible matchup in the NBA for him.
Yeah.
49%. But last time the model did not like him as value, and today the model does like him more than last time. Last time Amen was like down here with similar or even a couple more minutes projection, but he's comfortable enough to play today, I think.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm credit to the field for just going right back. I mean, a few years ago, you'd see
Yeah.
people overreacting to one game sample sizes. But yeah, I mean, I think on DK is kind of a no brainer. FanDuel, 7,600. Like, that just kind of tells you should probably be priced somewhere in between, which definitely favors playing him on DK, where he's probably 1K too cheap.
What about Josh Hart? Finally played less than 40 minutes. We haven't projected for 39.3. I think that we thought with OG back it was going to affect his minutes, his role maybe, but he put up like the best game he's ever had. Are you interested in playing any Josh Hart tonight?
Yeah, so the thing about OG is he is going to cut into these guys a little bit, but he's not historically a high usage player. So maybe we kind of over accounted for that in some ways. At the same time, Brunson is getting healthier. I do think his usage is going to tick up. It's been a little bit lower than what we see on season average, only 26% that last game that Hart went off. You can mix Harden. I guess technically this is a revenge game too. And he spent some time in Portland.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with him. I think he's about priced where he should be. He's not like jumping off the page at me or anything. But yeah, 7,300. He's definitely in play.
And on the other side of this game, Anthony Simons, I don't know how many like main slates he's been on, but he went off last night on the night slate. Are you
Mhm.
looking at him in this New York matchup tonight?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in that range, it's kind of hard not to go to Kyrie, but I do think he's one of the more logical pivots. Another guy who's been playing amazing is DeAndre Ayton. You can get for a
Yeah,
little bit.
man.
Actually, the same price on DK, which makes it kind of a tougher choice. But guard's definitely deeper than center tonight, in my opinion. So I kind of prefer Aiton if I'm going there. I know we're talking about guards, but yeah, Simons has been excellent. Not the best matchup. Hawks a really really good matchup where he had that ceiling game, but it's a home game. Spread's close enough. And like I said, I don't love the total in this spot, but on a short slate, you can kind of make exceptions. And I don't know, he's flashed a really high ceiling for his price, so that's enough for me to consider him as a tournament play.
And a sneak peek of when we go over centers, DeAndre Ayton is my favorite center tonight.
Nice.
Dylan Brooks, we going back to Dylan Brooks?
Where's the field at? Is my first question.
22 and 56 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean you can mix him in. I mean, he's just one of these guys, man. I mean, he gets the increased opportunities, but he's not necessarily going to do anything with them. It is a much better matchup here. If he gets hot from three, you're probably going to need him at that price, but the odds of that are probably slimmer than what his ownership is right now. So I don't know. I was pretty staunch about not playing him last late. I'm kind of feeling similarly here, especially if the field's just going to go back to that well. So I don't know. He does have upside for the price, probably more than a lot of the other plays in that range, but especially on DK where we have Dallas, I don't think you need
Yeah.
to play him. No.
Yeah, I was about to say like we do have to make a decision between players like Dylan Brooks, Exum, Tim Hardaway, Josh Green. Can't play all of them in the same lineup. I mean, you could probably play
Right.
those exact guys, but yeah, just I would say just mix it up. I think for the price, he's going to project well no matter what. His value is he top of value? Dylan Brooks, Dante Exum,
On
Tim Hardaway,
FanDuel, he
top of
is.
value. Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck to us, dude. Bilal Coulibaly, second on FanDuel value, kind of interesting.
He's such a similar play, honestly, in my opinion. I mean, he's getting a little bit of a boost here with some of this front court thin. But again, just a very wide range of outcomes. He could go over 30 fantasy points, or he could finish in single digits and play 30 minutes. And you're not really going to have a strong lean either way, in my opinion. Not the best matchup for Washington. Should be a competitive enough game. I don't hate him, but I'd rather get up to Kispert for just a little bit more similar position. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've just not been on Koulibaly all year. It's hurt me from time to time, but more often than not, it's not really a major factor in deciding anything.
Nice. And Nico in the chat, do we think Drummond will slide into the starting lineup? I don't think so. Underdog has
No.
Torrey Craig starting, and that's kind of reflected by the ownership from the field. If Drummond does start, I mean, I don't think they would start him in this matchup tonight against the Clippers. There's no reason to. But I mean, did you have any interest in Drummond tonight?
I mean, I don't mind him off the bench. Like we have seen
Mhm.
him get increased minutes as a backup just because they're pretty thin. But he's not going to start. I'm pretty confident in that. They only
Yeah.
start him against huge teams. That's Cleveland when they have Mobley and Allen healthy, and then the T Wolves when they had Cat and Gobert healthy. We haven't seen them do that in any other matchup. So I don't think they will here. I expect it's going to be Craig. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When you on DK you have Gafford for the same price, it's really tough for me to recommend playing Drummond over Gafford, and then Zubac is almost the same price. I definitely would rather go and just play Zoo. So I don't know. It's not crazy for playing 150 lineups, but I don't know. I'm not gonna get there only playing a handful.
Nice. And Jose in the chat at shooting guard Hardaway or Beasley. I'm pretty sure the model is going to say Hardaway by quite a bit, but let's take a look at what the ownerships. Uh, it's Beasley's price. All right, Malik Beasley, third in
44.
is this DraftKings value? Malik Beasley, fifth in DraftKings value. Hardaway, third. I mean, do you have a strong opinion on this, or just flip a coin?
I think it has to be Hardaway. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I said, he hasn't been playing well, but it's rare that we've gotten him without one of Luca or Kyrie lately. So I don't know. I'd just go to Hardaway.
Yeah, I agree. Malik Beasley's kind of like he's the deep pivot off of Hardaway. It's going to work out a low percentage of the time. So, any other guards before we move on to forward? I think we pretty much touched on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I will add Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole into that
Nice,
group,
nice.
especially on FanDuel. Like where you don't have those late games, you have to kind of get a little bit more creative. And I will say, if Kawhi's out, Harden's obviously going to become kind of a borderline priority, if not a priority. Probably not quite on the level of Kyrie if you're playing on DK, but certainly one of the more appealing FanDuel plays. Terrence Mann would also become viable pretty quickly. Norm Powell, so definitely keep an eye on that situation. It was weird; he left the arena during the game, so I don't know what's
Okay.
going on with him. But with Kobe White out, maybe they're more incentivized to rest him here. They probably can get away with it and still win the game. So I don't know. But yeah, I did want to just bring up those guys for Washington. We didn't talk about Dame. I mean, he's been really solid. His price hasn't moved. He's actually shooting the ball really well. Had a bad game last time out against Sacramento, but I was talking to Eric about this, and we know he's our resident Bucks fan, and he was saying that the sets that Dame was running in Portland, like their first coach wasn't running those sets on offense. That's the main reason they got rid of him, and it took Doc the All Star break to kind of implement those things. So he was on fire coming out of the break. Again, coming off a bad game here, maybe that keeps his ownership down. But I do have some interest in Lillard, especially if he's not going to be too popular.
And Eric Gordon just ruled out for Phoenix. I don't think that really affects much, but did we take a
Yeah.
look at Phoenix? Because we didn't talk about Grayson Allen, the guy who just randomly scores 70 points. 5,900 to 6,200. I mean, he's a deep GPP play, right?
Yeah, you can mix them in, but I'm not crazy about it. It's also a rough spot here against Boston, obviously. But yeah, Booker's healthy, Beal's healthy. Even without Gordon, I don't know that I'd be rushing to Allen. He's fine to mix in. Same with Royce O'Neal, even off the bench. But they're both super kind of boomer bust type plays. Obviously, Allen the better of the two, but I don't know. Against the Celtics, I don't think either's really a priority.
Yeah, this is definitely not the greatest spot for these guys, but I will say Devin Booker at 3 and 4%. I don't mind it on DraftKings at 8,800.
Yeah, he's priced down. I mean, I'm surprised he's not 9K anymore. So yeah, if you want to play Booker on DK, I think that
Yeah,
makes some sense.
I mean Booker's good. I mean Celtics are great, but Booker's good.
Oh yeah, very
uh,
true.
Anton Williams, Caruso. Yeah, I think we both like Caruso. I like him a lot. I'll be over the field on him.
Yep, agreed.
Kawhi traveled with the team. I thought doesn't necessarily mean he's playing. He's going to support his boys, right? Um, and then
You would
Beasley's
think so.
questionable. Yeah, you would think so. No, he's bought into the team since James Harden got there. This dude smiled like 3 times. That's pretty big
that's
for him.
that's a record for him. Yeah,
So if Malik Beasley misses, Pat Connaughton is probably going to draw the start, right?
probably. Um, yeah, I don't even think I'd want to play Connington honestly.
Yeah.
It would probably be Connington. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone else. Like they wouldn't start Pat Bev next to Dame, so yeah, it
No.
would be Connington. They're not going to go Portis. Yeah, it's probably Connington. But still, it's not going to make me really all that interested in Connington. It's super inconsistent, even when he gets minutes.
Yeah, I think we have enough other better value today, but I will just say, like, if he's the last guy in, you need 3,400 to fill out your lineup. There's definitely worse options than Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
So let's move on to forwards today. Forward, power forward. Giannis, Tatum, KD, Kawhi, Jalen Brown, DeMar, Kyle Kuzma. Really like Kyle Kuzma. What stands out to you from this top group of guys?
Um, yeah, I mean, whenever we get Giannis in a competitive game, I do have some interest if he's not going to be very popular. I do think this kind of fits that build. Obviously, Philly, not the same defensive team without Embiid there, sub 20% on FanDuel, even on the limited slate. I like him a lot there. On DK, where a lot of people are paying up for Kyrie, I understand that he's only 12% owned, but I would try to get to some Giannis in tournaments. The Wizards, we just keep playing them again, and I think tonight's no exception. Um, we always talk about when Kuzma's in at center, both he and Denny see a massive uptick in their rebounding upside. Should be increased usage here as well. And not as bad of a matchup as it has been facing Houston now that Sengun's out. So the front court's going to be pretty small. So yeah, I like those forwards for Washington. I want to get to some Giannis. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, in terms of like what's standing out, I think that's it for the most part, at least on the high end.
Yep. Kyle Kuzma. I just 15%. If he actually comes in at 50%, I'm gonna be pretty happy. I'm well over the field on him. I think this is my favorite game on the slate for sure. Washington Houston. I know we're playing a
Yeah, I
bunch of
like it.
Dallas guys, uh, like considering the ownerships too, it's just I think it's an amazing spot. And then
Mhm.
we have Jabari Smith with a pretty high OF index, higher than we're used to. I mean, he stands out 34%, 44%. I played a ton of him last time. It's kind of terrible. Are you going to him today?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't great, but he still got over 30 fantasy points. I mean, he's probably still too cheap on DK, and this is a much
Mhm.
better matchup than San Antonio. So, yeah, I do like Smith here, honestly. I mean, you can play him at forward or center, gives you some flexibility there. Again, not the deepest slate in terms of center. So, yeah, I like Jabari Smith. Definitely like him more than Dylan Brooks, that's for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, their front court's just super thin right now. Washington's not big. We did see Landale get more minutes than I was projecting him for. He played 25.
Yeah, man.
But in this matchup, I don't know that he needs to get as much run, which would probably benefit Smith directly. So I like Smith a lot here, actually.
Nice. Uh, Jalen Williams coming back from the injury. To me, if they're good to go, they're good to go. So I don't mind getting there a little bit. He's coming in with decent ownership, and he's a decent run back to the Dallas guys.
Mhm.
You mentioned Corey Kispert earlier. I really like Corey Kispert. Model doesn't love him, but Model thinks he's fine for his price, 20% ownership. I'm going to be pretty interested in him tonight.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but he's kind of similar to Fontecchio last night. Like, he's a really good play now that he's starting on paper. He's been shooting the ball really well. Um, could he disappear? Maybe, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. I do like Kispert a lot here.
Yeah, projected for 33.5 minutes. I don't remember what he had Fontecchio for yesterday, but
It was
uh,
similar. Yeah,
okay. If he, yeah, I mean, if Corey Kispert plays 33 minutes and he pulls a Fontecchio, I'll just cry, but I'm going to play a bunch of them tonight.
agreed.
I mean, is there anyone else down here that you wanted to mention? Sort by value. I mean, Lou Dort, Koulibaly, Washington Green. Like, seems like we
Yes,
touched on all these guys.
Yeah, shouts out to Unicorn Love for bringing this up. But Horford does have forward eligibility, I think, at least on DK. No Porzingis still. He's had some big games with KP out, other spots not so much, but he's probably good for around 30 to 40 fantasy points, which might be enough for you at 6,300. On FanDuel, I don't think he has forward eligibility anymore, which is frustrating. Yeah. Um, but cheaper over there, so we could talk about him when we get to centers. But on DK, I do think he should probably be in your forward pool.
Okay, nice. And then I don't know. We didn't really talk much about Jason Tatum, but he's
Mm.
pulling some pretty decent ownership. Are you prioritizing him at all? Are you getting to him in any of your lineups?
I mean, you can get there. I feel fine getting to him. I mean, same with Jalen Brown. I mean, both these guys are good players. It's just like which of the two is going to really have the bigger night. I don't know. You think they'd get up for this matchup here against the Suns, who are probably a playoff team, and I don't know. They're good plays. It's just we're so focused on getting to Kyrie and maybe some of that Clippers team if one of those guys are out. Maybe some Giannis. So like they're kind of just getting ignored. But I don't think if you're landing on Brown or Tatum, there's anything wrong with it. Like they're good plays, just not priorities for me. And Tatum a little bit higher owned than I kind of want him to be.
Same. Yeah, I will say, just scrolling through my lineups, in a lot of them, Fred Van Vliet or Kyrie Irving, I guess, is the most expensive player in a lot of my lineups. It looks like I'm going pretty balanced today. Like, I still have a bunch of Dante Exum at 3,600, but I'm not really paying up at the for the studs. So we'll see how that ends up going. Center. I mean, we mentioned a few centers, but like yesterday, I don't know if you saw the show. Eric and I kind of had a tough time with centers, or maybe it was me and you 2 days ago. But either way, center's been kind of tough lately. Do you have any strong takes here?
I like Vooch here on both sides. Again, no Kobe White. He should benefit. This is the type of matchup that he should actually fare relatively well in. Um, that's one. There's not a ton else. We already talked about
Yeah,
PJ Washington. He looks great here. Gafford's still too cheap over on DK, where he's only 4,900. Um, Other than that, I mean, it is tough. I will say Horford looks fine on both sites. Again, no Porzingis. And then Brooke Lopez, probably a little bit cheaper than he should be, but not really a priority for me. I guess if I'm like kind of saying my favorites, it's definitely Vooch up top. I like Horford in the mid range, and then I do like those guys for Dallas if you are playing on DK, Washington and Gafford.
nice. Yeah, Chet Holmgren 7,200. I'll be over on him. And then I mentioned Aiden was my favorite center, but the model really doesn't like him that much. We don't have to play much to get over the field on
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I don't know. I might just be sorting by. I'm trying to. It's weird. Yeah, I'm not even seeing him. I'm sorting by OF index. Where the hell is he?
Aiden 7.3 OF index,
Yeah, I gotta
9.5
refresh.
DK.
Something happened. Yeah, yeah. No, but I'm definitely interested in him. He's been awesome since the All Star break. I mean, the Knicks front court defense isn't terrible, but OG mostly lives on the wing and around the 3 point line. So I think Ayton can get his here against Hartenstein. So I'm totally fine going back to him. He's been outproducing his price consistently, which is more than you can say for a lot of these centers. And I do like your Chet call. Centers have been crushing Dallas for the most part.
And regarding Hardenstein, I don't know if the streak ended, but for a while there, maybe it was before he got hurt, he was giving up the least centers or the least fantasy points to centers out of anyone in the league. So Hardenstein, good defender, but his minutes have been kind of
Yeah.
cut lately. And like with the model telling me Aiden's not good, and this is 204.5, that's the lowest game total I've seen in like 4 years. I'm still going to be over the field on him, but just pointing that out, like he's been a monster lately because the big thing is he's taking shots. Like they're giving him the basketball. They didn't used to give him the basketball, but 20 shots, 19 shots, 25 shots, 16 shots. Like this dude used to not get over 10 shots in a lot of games. So just being a bigger
Yeah.
part of the offense, I still like him as a GPP play. Super duper risky though.
Yeah, and with no Jeremy Grant too, that's definitely
Mhm.
helping his usage. I don't know if that's what you just said, but yeah. And again, Hartenstein playing good defense, but when you're only playing 20 minutes a night, it's not
Yeah.
really that tough of a matchup.
Um, You mentioned Jock Landale. I'll just mention him again. Like he played more minutes than anyone expected. They don't have a need to play a true center against Washington. Bagley's out right now. We have Jock Landale projected for 21 minutes at 5%, 4,600 on DraftKings. It seems reasonable if you want to get there a couple of times in your set.
Yeah, and this isn't a matchup where I think they need him, but there maybe Adoka wants to kind of work him up get more minutes for him moving forward because he is probably going to have to play some center in tougher spots. So I don't know. Maybe they slowly ramp him up, and this is a good matchup to do it where he's faced up against Kuzma. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we're under projecting his minutes again. I don't know that anyone has a really good grasp of that right now.
Nice. Um, I'm straight fading Kyrie from don't know how to pronounce that name, but I mean, it's a risk. It'll pay off sometimes. When it does, you'll be happy. When it doesn't work, you'll be sad.
That's true. Um, I
uh,
mean, yeah, I mean, there's always merit to fading a popular play, especially if they're expensive, because it's easier for expensive chalk to fail than it is for some of the cheap chalk. Because like
mhm.
if you have a 3K guy and he fails, like you can still get different enough. But if you're paying like 9K for a Kyrie or 8,400, whatever he is, and he only gets you 35, 40 points, like there's definitely going to be plays in that range that outperform him. So I personally think he probably does pretty well here tonight. But just thinking in terms of game theory, like you're not crazy to fade him.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough pivots in the price range. Fred Van Vliet, Tyrese Maxey, Damian Lillard, even like Booker and
Mm-hmm.
Brunson if you can find the extra salary. Anthony Simon's a little cheaper if he ends up playing. Not necessarily good pivots, but there are definitely options around him. So,
DeRozan and Vooch are 8K with
mhm.
Kobe. Yeah.
Let's see. We got the Rockets starting lineup as expected.
Ooh.
Um, this so Fred Van Vliet, Jalen Green, Thompson, Dylan Brooks, and Smith. They Dylan Brooks start at
That's what
power
I
forward
thought.
last
Yeah.
time? Did they just list this in a weird order? It's kind of a small
No, I
lineup,
think he
but I guess
did.
Washington's small anyway. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Uh,
how they listed it last time.
well, looks like we're a little bit ahead of schedule today. Uh, Kyrie Irving,
Nice.
first player in our dummy, right?
Yeah, I think we have to.
Kyrie, and then from the rest of the Mavericks, who are the priorities for you?
For me, it's PJ Washington. I really like him
Let's do
here.
it. PJ. Yep. And then do we want to try to fit in Exum or Hardaway or both?
Uh, uh, I don't know. I'm not like clamoring to. You probably if Exum starts, I do think you want him there. If he comes off the bench though, like he's gonna be overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know. You could pick if you want, man. They're both good plays on paper. Like I can't argue with them, but I'm not like I need to play Exum tonight. I need to play Tim Hardaway Jr.
well, assuming Exum starts, I do like him more than Tim Hardaway. Yeah, Tim Hardaway has a
Yeah,
ceiling, but if 60% of the field's going to go there, then I'll
yeah,
just
we
find
could
a
go
pivot.
Exum. Mhm.
Um, and then from outside of Dallas, Houston, Washington, top plays from this game. Do we want it? Can we get Fred Van Vliet in there?
Yeah, we can get Van Fleet in there. I like that. And
You
then
like?
on the Washington side, I mean, we
I
both
like
like Kispert.
Bees. Okay, let's
I
get
mean, I do like
Kispert.
Kuzma too, but yeah, it's just how
Yeah,
much salary do we have?
we have 6,400 left for center forward utility.
Caruso at forward.
Oh, love that. Caruso. 6850 for center and utility.
Um, I mean, we could go Kuz or Vooch at center and see what's left at utility. I don't think that's crazy. Maybe we end up with more Dallas value,
Let's go with
or go eight in and make that a play. I don't know. We got a
let's,
few options.
let's see what we get. 8 and leaves us 6K. We can fit in
Hey yo,
AO. Nice, yeah. AO and Caruso. I think it's fine to play them together. It might
oh yeah,
feel a little bit weird, but it's fine.
yeah.
And
No Kobe. That's great. Yeah.
Malik Beasley just got ruled out, so we mentioned it earlier. Like Pat Connaughton probably starts now, but I don't think it affects too much. Um, and Pat Bev's
No.
available to play, so maybe Pat Bev starts. So we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, it's possible. I think they want him running the second unit though. The thing about Pat Bev is like he's not the best 3 point shooter, and like Beasley, the reason he's in that lineup is to provide spacing. So I think it's probably going to be Connington. They could maybe go Portis and play like the biggest lineup ever, but that would be kind of ridiculous. So I think it's more likely than not Pat Connington.
Nice. Um, try plugging Vooch in, just see what it looks like, and we can get like Amon Thompson. And then
Yeah.
another guy I wanted to ask you about, Scoot Henderson. He came off the bench last time. Foul City played awful. Are you interested in him tonight at all, or were you looking at him?
I mean, he's not terrible, but if Banton's going to keep starting over him, like they're the same price. Honestly, Banton's been kind of sneaky good.
Well,
It's gross to say out loud, but if Banton's popular, I'd pivot to Scoop. But if neither are popular, I kind of like Banton as the starter there, just knowing he's been so aggressive on offense.
well,
He's
he
like
lost
playing for his NBA life. Yeah.
he definitely is, but he lost minutes in the last two games. It looks
Uh,
like too, and so that was yeah. I mean, I played all the Banton on the previous Portland night slate, but him and Scoot didn't even. It wasn't even 1 for 1. Like there was a
that's
lot of
weird.
minutes with neither of them on the court. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
so I mean, I think it's a
So
risky
maybe
spot
neither.
overall. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention Scoot because I think Jeremy Grant was in last time they played, but he's out
Mm.
tonight, and so just I don't know if maybe you need some weird pivot at the end of the night, then Scoot Henderson's not the worst option. But
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. The talent's there for sure. It's just getting him consistent.
and so the slate locks in 1 hour and 7 minutes. We get an extra half hour today. We got the Discord starting. I think at should be in about 40 minutes today, right?
Mhm. Yeah, 7 Eastern.
Nice. Yeah, we got Jayhawk in there. Instructions are in the description below. If you have any last minute questions, go ahead, throw them in the chat. Looks like we're going to get out of here a couple minutes early today, but anything else that you want to touch on?
Uh, no, I think we got most of it. Obviously, keep an eye on lineups. We've gotten some weird things the past few slates. Guys starting we didn't necessarily expect to. I mean, that could be a situation maybe in Dallas where we're seeing some strange starters here. Kid has gone to Hardy once or twice in this situation before. I don't think he will personally, but
It's a nice
definitely a
call.
situation where I can't just lock in Derek Green as the starter or Derek Green, Derek Jones Jr. as the starter. And then, yeah, if you're on FanDuel, the slate's definitely a lot different. I think the Kawhi news is massive there. Like, if Kawhi's out, you're really going to want to get to a lot of Clippers. So, if we don't have that news by lock, maybe make sure you have some room to kind of shift things around if that does break the way the field's not projecting it to. But yeah, two very different slates. DK, you got a lot more options. You got all that Dallas chalk. Um, and then yeah, on FanDuel things are condensed, so you got to eat some chalk. But I think there are ways to get different. I think the best way maybe is to just play Giannis on FanDuel. He's under owns with Beasley out. Maybe and that's not going to really up his usage, but yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he's not more popular on a 4 game slate.
What's your favorite play on FanDuel today?
Overall, let me see.
The Prince wants
It's
to know. He
pro-
has to know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it might be Giannis, like
Okay.
saying the best player in the league. If not Giannis, Vooch. I like those two a lot. And then if you need to go cheap, I like Kispert. I like Caruso. So there's a little core for you. Kispert, Caruso, Giannis, Vooch.
I'm interested in all those guys. Yeah. I was gonna say Fred Van Vliet if I was playing on FanDuel today, but
Mm.
he's 50% owned, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, yeah. 8,100 is about where he should be. Like, I think he hits value, but if he was a little cheaper, I'd probably prioritize him more aggressively. But yeah, Van Fleet looks great.
O'Neal, assuming that's Royce O'Neal on Phoenix. Yeah, with Eric Gordon out. I mean, the big three are in today. Royce O'Neal,
Yeah.
54, 5,500. You think he's worth taking some shots at all?
If you're only playing a lineup or two, I probably wouldn't do it. But if you're playing a bunch, you could definitely mix him in your player pool. He's shown he has upside. If he gets hot from three, he's going to see his minutes extended, which is what you're kind of chasing in large field tournaments. So I don't mind it. Do I think he's safe? No. But
Mm,
he could definitely spike an upside for you.
nice, I agree. And last question from Courtney: do we like Holiday? Assuming that's Drew Holiday. I don't think I thought about Drew Holiday once today. Do you feel differently?
I mean, he's cheap enough
Hmm.
that you could consider him on DK. It's just so tough with Boston when they're healthy. I know with Porzingis out, these guys should be seeing a little bit more usage, but I don't know. It just kind of flattens out to the rest of the team. Not the best matchup here against Phoenix either. So he's fine at his price, but I don't know. I'm not excited to get there or anything.
Yeah, I think Corey, if you're only playing one lineup today, then this is probably not a spot that I would be getting to. I will
Yeah.
say that if you're making a bunch of lineups, I am interested in Derek White again. At the super low ownership, I don't know. I think the industry is just kind of ignoring him today. I know he's coming off a big game, but at these ownerships, I don't mind kind of chasing that a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
DeRozan, I think we're both pretty interested in DeRozan. Yeah, we like the four Chicago guys.
Absolutely. Yep, really do like DeRozan here. Coming off a huge game, he is somewhat scoring dependent, but with Kobe out, he's definitely going to take a few extra shots here. You'd have to think.
Yeah, and they did play in overtime yesterday, but doesn't matter. These guys are young; they're fine. They're good to go.
He's good.
Uh, Gallinari 3600 for Milwaukee. He's not showing up in the model yet. Malik Beasley's still in there. I mean, Gallinari is this a little bit too thin today?
I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen any real good games out of him since the All Star
Hmm.
break. I know they're trying to work him into the rotation, but even when he's on the floor, he's not doing anything. So I'm good.
And then last question. Luke Cornett or Xavier Tillman on Boston with Al Horford is in. So
I mean, Cornette's going to play the backup center. So you could maybe get to a little bit of Cornet, but I don't know. He's priced up a bit, so I don't know that he's that all that appealing. Like if he was 3K or something, I'd definitely be interested. I think he's going to probably play 22-ish minutes here, which is okay. So yeah, Cornet maybe a little, probably not Tillman. I think he's behind him on the depth chart. So unless this game were to blow out or someone gets hurt, it's going to be really tough for Tillman to get involved, I think.
yeah, I'm not really interested in either. If you want to play one of these, I mean, I would just pay up for Al Horford at projected for
Yeah.
31 minutes. I mean, Cornet's going to be the backup. Tillman could legitimately get a DNP today. And
Yeah,
so
he's not even in the model right now.
yeah, even in the deepest of deep GPPs, I think Xavier Tillman's a little too thin. I just
Agree.
got news. Oh, Pat Bev is starting, expected to start for
Oh,
Malik Beasley. So, I mean, Pat Bev,
interesting.
3,600.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, as far as value goes, knowing he's going to get those extra minutes, it's going to be interesting. I think they probably have Dame play off ball more now.
Mm-hmm. It's good for Dame,
So
right?
yeah, yeah, it's good for Dame. I mean, he should get more open looks from three. So
Mm-hmm.
I like Dame here even more. I like Pat Bev definitely as a piece of
Yeah,
value now. Definitely more comfortable playing him than I would have been if Connington was starting. So whoever said that initially, good call. I
yeah.
knew it was a possibility, but I thought Doc would kind of look for spacing here more. But I guess not. I mean, when you have Lopez who could shoot threes, Giannis, I guess, can shoot threes. You have enough here, but I don't know. I thought they'd replace the spacer with the spacer. I guess not. So yeah, Pat Bev looks good as value for sure.
Well, you can stick Pat Bev on Tyrese Maxey at least.
That
And
too.
does Lively look good? Crushed OKC last matchup. Um,
When was that? Yeah,
uh,
because
yeah, it was
Gafford's kind of
Gafford.
taken
Yeah.
over. I
Let's
mean,
see.
when Gafford got traded there, they were barely using him. He's gone 20 plus 5 games in a row now in terms of minutes. It's kind of getting the bigger role. We've seen Lively still spark an upside, but I prefer Gafford personally.
Yeah, so Lively crushed them on December 2nd. He played 39 minutes. Like, this is not something that we should account for even a little bit today. It's a completely different situation for the Mavericks. Like, he has zero potential to play 39 minutes tonight unless Gafford gets hurt immediately and for some reason they want to run him the entire game. Um,
Yeah,
but like, if you want to play a few percent, you're set. I think he's a fine GPP play, but do not play him basing it off of the last time he played OKC because this is kind of irrelevant.
yeah, Gafford is a new acquisition.
Yeah. Well, we ended up getting to 3:30. So appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to join the Discord. Listen to Jayhawk for the updates. I'm especially interested to see what happens with Pat Bev on the model. But yeah,
Yeah,
join Discord. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.
take care, everyone.